The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100, and get $100 at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. State restrictions apply. Roster brought to you by SGPN's Big Game Bingo, $57 SGPN gift card for every bingo hit. And roster brought to you by SGPN's 57 Bets Challenge, $570 cash and a $570 gift card to the winner of the props contest. Get all of our info exclusively on the SGPN app. And if you're going to be out in Arizona for the big game, make sure to check out our live show at Ainsworth Thursday at 11 a.m. Register today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/big game. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, February 7th, currently 10:04 on the East Coast. Here to recap what we saw on Monday night and dig into the Tuesday night betting card in the association. But joining me, help me to break it down here on this Tuesday episode. You guys know him as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast on the NFL Gambling Podcast as well. And of course, here on the NBA Gambling Podcast, it's Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Looking forward to going through the Tuesday card. Had the luxury of watching Cam Thomas the last couple of days, which was a fun time, as he's gone for 40-plus in two straight. Split the two games, but you'll take it. Either way, my Nets have been involved in a lot of headlines lately with, of course, the Kyrie trade. I know you and Terrell broke it down yesterday. But overall, pretty, I'd say, interesting week for the team that I root for. And I'm actually not that bothered by what happened. I feel like everything that transpired is cool with me. And we're going to move forward and see what happens. Are they good enough to win the title? Probably not. But I don't think they were good enough in the first place. So I don't really think much has changed.
Who needs Kyrie when you have Cam Thomas out there? And also joining us, you guys know him as the newest voice on the NBA pod. It's Delonte Smith. Delonte, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Looking forward to breaking down the Tuesday card. A few intriguing matchups. Hopefully we can get on the right side of them.
Yeah, yesterday we had a pretty good day on the pod with myself and Terrell. I hit both my lock and dog. Terrell hit his lock. He also gave out the Josh Green player prop at about, I think it was 7-1 for him to score 20+ last night for the Dallas Mavericks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he ended up with 29, I believe, in that game as the Mavericks go on the road into Utah and get the victory there, 124-111. Anything else that kind of stuck out to you guys last night? Obviously, Scott, you touched on Cam Thomas. I don't know if you want to expand on that or anything else that you saw around the association last night.
I mean, just for the overall game breakdown, the Nets lost, which was expected. I believe they covered the final number, which I think closed at 8.5.
Yeah.
Clippers, not a great team. I've said this several times, even with Kawhi and Paul George. They have issues closing games. Last night they did a pretty good job in the fourth quarter. But that Nets team that was missing, of course, everybody they traded Kyrie for, or everybody they got back in the Kyrie trade, and the fact that Kyrie got traded, the Clippers should have been easily ahead the entire game through. The fact that the Nets made it a battle just kind of tells me the Clippers are just an overrated team. I think they're fine. I don't think they're great. But, the Nets ended up losing, but Cam Thomas became I believe he's the second youngest player to ever drop back-to-back 40 pieces.
Yep.
LeBron being the youngest. I thought his post-game quote there is an all-time quote there. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's an all-time quote. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they told him that he was the second youngest guy to ever drop 40 in back-to-back games, LeBron being the youngest. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm more of a Kobe guy, though, so it would have been cooler if it was him instead. And I thought that was just an all-time joke by him. But, yeah, other than that, though, in the association, I'm trying to think of anything else that really jumped out to me. The Jazz lost as a favorite again. What else is new? I don't really have much more to add, to be honest. I mean, did you have really any takeaways? Because I feel like the main shock was, I guess, Golden State winning by 27 without Curry, except OKC doesn't play any defense anyway. So I'm surprised Klay went for 40 and change. Somebody was going to have to step up with Curry being out. And, of course, that was going to be Klay. Poole with a double-double, though. Shout out to him for 12 assists. But I don't really have many takeaways because I feel like there are a lot of blowouts. And that Clippers game that I mentioned, which was an 8-point game, was actually the closest game on the entire schedule. So not many nail-biting fourth quarters.
Yeah, like you mentioned there, Klay last night had a great game for the Golden State Warriors. 15 of 22 from the floor, 12 of 16 from three-point land. He ended the game with 42 points. And like you mentioned, also Jordan Poole, 21 points, 12 assists. But I think more importantly for player prop fans, Jordan Poole with another game without Steph Curry that had at least 4 turnovers. That number was at 3.5, hovering around anywhere from -105 to -115 for Jordan Poole turnovers. So they were back on that train until the market maybe juices us out again. Delonte, anything takeaways from last night?
I think you guys pretty much hit on it. The Mavericks, that was their first time winning in Utah since 2016. I think I've seen that somewhere. Yeah, and I think you guys hit it. The Bucks had a good win. What I think is a good win over a Portland team who had been playing well on the road and at home. They came in and obliterated Portland. And Giannis, I mean, so I'm saying like 24 and 14.
I had
13.
the over 34.5 points. You can go nuts on it. You can rant on it. I thought he was not very good last night.
Yeah, he wasn't. And they still dominated. So like he was in a perfect matchup, perfect situation. With the Blazers front line being what it was. They didn't have Nurkic, if I'm not mistaken, right, Scott?
No. He's out indefinitely. Hurt his leg, I believe. So plus they're trying to trade him anyway. So I don't know if he's ever going to play for Portland again. We'll see. His contract's pretty rough, especially with how the league has kind of transitioned to the more athletic, no other better way to put it, skinnier centers, if we're being honest. I mean, you want to have guys that can have more switchability, and Nurkic is a drop pick and roll guy. He'll get torched every single time in the pick and roll. So, yeah, Portland's not good, especially in the front court. Giannis, I didn't think he was great. He played 23 minutes because of foul trouble, and he had 5 turnovers. He was kind of all over the place, but it didn't matter because Lillard didn't do much either. So it's kind of just a trade-off of underwhelming performances by superstars. I know Giannis at the end had like 24, 13, and 8. Like his final stat line was fine, but if you watch the game itself, he seemed really out of sorts to start the game.
Yeah, so a couple things that I did. Keegan Murray looked excellent for the Kings. I think that a lot of people, including myself, gave the Kings a lot of gripe for drafting Keegan. I think over Jaden. And I think they made the right decision. I think the team looks better with Keegan Murray there. They haven't been playing well. Fox had been out for personal reasons. He came back and they blew out the Rockets pretty much wire to wire. And the Cleveland defense, man, they just shutting down everybody. 20 games of allowing under 100 points, 17 and 3 in that span. They allowed 91 last night. Man, Cleveland is good. I just can't get with them on the wings. Like they got to get somebody in there at that three spot that can at least create their own shot. They got to move Karis LeVert and some of those guys a little bit down the bench. So that's my only concern with the Cavs. Other than that, man, Garland is a star. We all know about Mitchell. So that's the only few takeaways that I had added to what you guys had.
Well, I am going to ask, though, about that small forward position. Is your main concern about LeVert just being kind of all over the place? Or is it also the fact that him and Okoro – I know Okoro had a good shooting game, I think 2 games ago, but he's basically a defensive specialist. So do you think they need like a hybrid there? Or do you think that Okoro's fine? You just need someone who's more efficient and more – I don't know, more in touch with the team's needs than LeVert. I'm trying to think of a good way to put it, but I think that's how I'd sum up LeVert.
Yeah, I think they just need some, like, they don't have any consistency. Like a couple of games, Okoro, and they had Cedi Osman who was shooting lights out, but then, I mean, of course, he's unheard of from that point on. So they just need some consistency. I think the easiest link, obviously, would be, the OG Anunoby thing. But, like, I just need to see them be able to take some pressure off of Garland and Mitchell. Obviously, those guys are excellent, but you want to be able to go to a couple of those guys at your forward position. And in the East, I mean, you're going to have to guard some pretty good small forwards. And I don't think that Okoro I don't think he's ready just yet to be that guy. So
I don't think he's got much offensive talent. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I'm not comparing him exactly to like Roberson, because Roberson was a historically bad offensive player, or like a Tony Allen type. I think Okoro's better than that. But when you really watch the Cavaliers late in games, and it was a big reason why this team has struggled at various points in the fourth quarter, if you're going to be giving Mitchell and Garland all the attention in the half court, Mobley's gotten better at creating his own shot. Is he great at it? No. And we know Allen's basically a rim runner who occasionally can hit a baby hook shot. They're going to dare Okoro in the corner to hit shots the entire game, and he's not going to be able to do it about 80% of the time. So you mentioned going potentially for a home run swing there with Anunoby. Do you think like Eric Gordon's good enough for this team, or do you think they need somebody better than that? Because I see Gordon really just being an upgrade over LeVert while kind of maintaining the same role.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a net positive. Like, it's just going to balance out. I don't think it's any better. I don't think it's any worse. Maybe to come off the bench it'll be better, but I mean, honestly, I think maybe a vet presence is more so what they might go for if they're looking for Eric Gordon, but they just need somebody who can actually play both sides of the ball effectively and consistently. That's what they're missing. I mean, they have, to Bickerstaff's credit, he has given the ball more to Evan Mobley and had him, try to create more. But I mean, that's just not what Evan Mobley does. He's getting better at it, but that's just not what he does. And so if you're leaning on a less talented offensive version of Evan Mobley, then that just goes to show you that you do need, some help at that position. But
yeah, I mean, I guess the point that I was trying to make, kind of just to push back a little bit. You mentioned Anunoby, who I'm a big fan of as a player.
Yeah.
However, he never stays healthy, and that's a bit of a concern. I guess what I'm wondering is that since the asking price for Anunoby is roughly 3 first-round picks, then again, we have no idea because of the Gobert trade and the DeJounte Murray trade, so we don't know what picks are worth anymore. That's kind of been an issue in the entire season with trades because nobody knows how much a first-round pick's actually worth anymore. Yeah. Do you think going kind of all in with 3 first-round picks for Anunoby is enough to get Cleveland over the hump? I guess that's kind of what I'm asking, because you mentioned Anunoby, who I like as a player, but with the injury concerns and with just the overall questions on what Cleveland needs, do you think Anunoby is the missing piece that will take them to the NBA Finals? Because I'm not so sure about that.
I don't. But I do think if they want to get to that level, if they get Siakam, they be peak ready to make some noise. If they get Siakam, I like Siakam as a better option than Anunoby. But I know Anunoby has been linked to them, and he's been linked to every team. But yeah, if they get Pascal is a better suitor for that. He's got NBA. I mean, he's got finals pedigree. He didn't play extremely well in the playoffs at certain times, but he's been there. He's got that experience. He's a two-way player. He can shoot. He's fairly healthy, as you mentioned with OG. So I think Siakam, as far as short term, like getting where they need to go faster. OG more so in the long run.
Yeah, I think that for the Cavaliers, I mean, you talked about how good they are defensively. I personally just feel like they need a like you mentioned, a 3-and-D guy, that can knock down a 3-point shot consistently for them. Because that the attention from opposing defense is going to be on Donovan Mitchell and it's going to be on Darius Garland. And when you have a guy in the corner that can knock down those 3-point shots for you, you guys, you mentioned Eric Gordon. He doesn't play a lick of defense, but I think offensively, he can create his own shot. He can knock down those 3-point shots for you as well. So, and like you guys mentioned, Siakam and OG Anunoby, even Fred VanVleet have all. I mean, I'm not saying Fred VanVleet for this team, but everybody on Toronto has pretty much been in trade rumors. So we're approaching the trade deadline here on Thursday. It is Tuesday. Hopefully, we start getting some more news in, and teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have a great roster. I think that maybe not this year, maybe next year. I think they can be a title contender, or a team that can come out of the Eastern Conference for the NBA Finals. Anything else from last night, guys?
No, I think we hit it all.
It's not only for last night, but you mentioned the trade deadline, kind of just a quick discussion. We know Kyrie was the main media point of who's going to be on the trading block, who's potentially going to get moved. That already happened. Anunoby we brought up. Siakam we brought up. VanVleet we brought up. Mostly Raptors guys, but you have other guys around the league who might be shipped off. Utah might have a fire sale. We'll see what happens. I know Vanderbilt's been linked and stuff like that. Not exactly a star player, but I think Vanderbilt's one of the best role players in the league. How busy of a trade deadline are you actually expecting? Because once again, I have no idea what the market value is for a first-round pick anymore.
I'm hoping we get chaos just so we have
Of course, we're hoping for it. I'm just wondering, like, do you think Anunoby and all these other guys will actually be traded, or do you think it's going to be a lot of rumor and it's kind of going to fizzle out at the end?
A lot of like prominent media people like ESPN and like Yahoo and Fox, a lot of them have been saying like on record that they don't think anything's going to happen simply because like asking prices, like they think that the asking price for certain players is absurd, and that teams
I think a bear trade warp the market.
Yeah, and it's just not going to work out. So I think it's going to be just a lot of phone calls, a lot, like you're saying, a lot of rumors. I mean, I'm hoping they're wrong, but I mean, they're obviously linked to talking to executives and people in the know as far as team wise. So a lot of them have been saying like they don't think it's going to be much at all. Maybe like one or two moves that we would be like shocked by, but like other than that, they think it's going to be pretty quiet.
I think it's 50-50 for Anunoby.
Yeah.
I think Van Vliet has like an 80% chance of getting traded. Like there's no chance they're going to end up signing him to a contract, especially with how much the team's underperformed. The only conversation to be had is, do you trade Van Vliet now, or do you hope for a sign and trade in the offseason? I'd be shocked if Van Vliet was still on the team like 4 days from now.
Yeah, I would be too. Like it's like 30 guys, like 30 to 35 guys that can legitimately be made, like cases can be made that they could be traded. Like, so that's a lot. Usually when it's that many, nothing really happens. Cause I mean, teams just, those deals in the summer, like messed up everything. Like
if I'm predicting for Toronto though, I think Van Vliet will be the only guy traded. That's in my opinion. I think Anunoby and Siakam are going to stay. I think Van Vliet's pretty much has had his bags packed for a month. If I had to guess. What do you think?
Yeah, I would think so too. I think Fred VanVleet would probably be the first one, I think, to be traded from Toronto, then OG Anunoby. I know yesterday there was talks that Nets and the Dallas Mavericks were trying to, or at least the Nets were trying to expand the deal into a 3-team deal. And, Pascal Siakam's name was mentioned to the Brooklyn Nets for, obviously some type of package and draft capital. So I think the domino really is the Toronto Raptors, right? And I think Woj even, said that everybody's monitoring what Toronto is going to do, whether it's going to be Fred VanVleet on the move, whether it's going to be OG Anunoby, and possibly even Pascal Siakam. I think the only one guy that's not touchable on that team right now is probably going to be Scotty Barnes. So, it'll be interesting what happens, in the six right now with all these guys that are in trade rumors. So definitely we'll have our eyes and ears on all the trade rumors as we get to the deadline on Thursday.
By the way, guys, sorry, just one more quick point. Just quickly, Durant's not getting traded. Everybody relax. Durant's not getting traded. Like, calm down. I'm just saying, people keep saying, Kyrie's gone. Is like, no, like the team is still good enough to make a somewhat deep run, probably like a second round elimination, but still, they're not trading Durant. What do you have in your mind? Like, no, like he'll come back from injury. They'll figure it out. But people keep saying, the Suns, Nets are going to blow it up. They're not going to blow it up. It's not happening.
Is KD slated? I know I've seen something about him getting evaluated this week. Is he like going to play before the All-Star break, you think, or
no? I'd be shocked if he was back before the All-Star break. I'm assuming they'll give him the extra time off after that. Let him do some practice, some drills. They'll test out the leg and see how it is. But people keep trying to say, like, it's kind of people trying to manufacture chaos by throwing out superstar names that might be traded. Durant's not going anywhere. Westbrook's interesting, but I mean, at this point, I don't know who would want him besides just accepting picks from the Lakers to take him.
The Hornets will take him.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Exactly, because I'm sure there'll be a first-round pick attached to it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, before we get into the schedule for Tuesday, let me tell our listeners about our presenting sponsor, and that's going to be WynnBET. WynnBET is the official online sports book of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WynnBET is active in a bunch of states, and there's a ton of ways to win, including live betting and same-game parlays, aka WynnBET's Build Your Own Bet. The big game is here, and WynnBET has you covered. Great promos, odds, and payouts are happening right now over at WynnBET. If you're ready to play, sign up today to receive a special offer, bet 100 and get 100. Limited state availability. And of course, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you get a $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from. All you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. Offers up to change terms and conditions at WynnBET.com. Must be 20 years or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBET is available. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And SGP will be doing a live show in Phoenix for the big game. And if you're going to be out in Arizona for the big game, make sure to check out SGP's live show at Ainsworth Thursday at 11 a.m. Register today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet. The show is free, and you'll be able to watch the show and have some drinks with the guys. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/big game. All right, guys, let's get into the schedule here for the Tuesday games in the association. Why don't we kick it off with the first game on the board? And that's going to be between the New York Knicks. They're in Orlando here tonight, guys. The opening line for this game, it's going to be a 1.5 point opening line for the New York Knicks as a road favorite. That number has pretty much stayed the course right now at -1.5 for the New York Knicks. Total opened up at 227.5. The number's been bet down to about 225.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the New York Knicks, RJ Barrett is questionable here tonight with a non-COVID related illness, and Mitchell Robinson continues to be out for the Knicks as well. For the Orlando Magic, Mo Bamba is continuing to serve that suspension, and Chuma Okeke is working his way back. He is on G League assignment for the Orlando Magic. Delonte, why don't you lead us off with this game? The New York Knicks -1.5 in Orlando here tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning to the Knicks side. I don't like betting against the Magic right now. They are like one of the better ATS teams over the last 10 games, 7-3 ATS over the last 10. Overall, 31-22-1 ATS with a 16-10 at home. They thrive as a dog, 29-17. I like how they're playing. I like some of the things that they've been doing, especially with Paolo and Franz being more assertive on the offensive end. They are returning home from a 4-game road trip, and usually I like to play against teams coming home off of a road trip simply because they're more relaxed. They're home. They're taking care of business, doing what they got to do for their families. And the Knicks are, I mean, they haven't been horrible lately. 4-6 ATS last 10. They are 17-9 on the road. Defense is still the problem with them without Mitchell Robinson. And if they're going to be without RJ Barrett, I would definitely look at some Paolo props because I don't think they have a defender who can slow him down if RJ's not there. They have been – this is their first road game since January 26th, the Knicks. So that's something to monitor as well. They did play a road game at Brooklyn, but obviously, they're still in New York.
You lost again to the Nets. What else is there?
7th in offensive rating overall, and also on the road. The thing with the Knicks is they just can't shoot. Like, I have no idea what it is. They're bottom 7 effective field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. Like, I have no idea why they just can't shoot the ball. And that could be a problem against a Magic team with a lot of guys who can, rip and run, and they don't have the best shooters, but they have more capable shooters than the Knicks. So I guess the more I talk about this, the more I should just not like the Knicks. But if I had to bet it, I'm not. I would just lean to the Knicks with a short number, but I'm probably gonna be staying away.
Scott.
I'm going to lean to the Knicks as well. I don't feel great about it. I think I'm going to lean to the under actually in this game, but yeah, I know that Delonte and I are going to disagree briefly on this point. I don't think RJ Barrett's a good player, so I don't mind him being out of the lineup. I'm just going to be honest. I think he's a high usage, low efficiency guy.
I like RJ, man.
I don't think it's a coincidence that he missed the game and they beat Philly. That's all I'm saying. That's how I look at it. But I don't know. I just think Barrett's a guy who takes so many shots all the time, and a lot of them aren't even good shots. And I feel like with him being out of the lineup, I kind of like the ball movement a bit more. You get the ball in Brunson and Randall's hands more. I don't know why Barrett's taking 21-plus shots in each of the last 2 games. It's just kind of a situation where I feel like the Knicks will actually be able to kind of just have more of an identity, in my opinion, with Barrett being out, because I do like the ball being in your best 2 players' hands. And yes, I know Barrett's an okay defensive player. I think according to advanced metrics, actually, he's the worst defender on the team because, Fournier hasn't gotten any minutes. So he's, of course, banned from this conversation because he doesn't qualify. But still, Barrett, I forgot, was it Clyde Frazier who mentioned something on the air about him being horrible at defense?
Clyde is Clyde is extremely
wild,
funny.
man. His
Didn't
tweets
he
are
say
wild
that
like
though?
He say
Like
some
against
wild
the
stuff,
Heat?
bro.
It was against the Heat, I think. Didn't he say like Barrett's an awful defensive player or something like that?
It
Like
wouldn't
according to the
surprise me,
advanced
man.
stats, he is. I just don't like Barrett that much, and he might play in this game. He might not. I actually kind of hope he doesn't. But I'm not going to go into a full-on RJ Barrett rant. I'll put it this way. I think that he's a guy who thinks he's a lot better than he is, and Knicks fans keep holding out hope that he's going to become this guy because the first two picks were Zion and John Morant. That's all I'm going to say. He's fine. If he's a top 3 player on your team, you're probably screwed. I think he's more of a 4th or a 5th guy on a potential title team. I'm not a fan of his game. So if he's out, it personally does not bother me that much.
Yeah, I get
you
what you're
just
saying.
crushed Delonte's
I said it was
soul,
going to
man.
hurt your feelings. That's what I said before I mentioned anything.
No. I mean, I'm not like, I don't have like extremely high stock, but I do think like maybe the Knicks just not the system is not for what he's capable of doing. I don't think he's great, like top whatever player, but I just think he does some things well. He's not consistent. I do agree. He takes bad shots. That's true, and I think most of the time he takes those bad shots because, I mean, when he's on the floor with Randall Brunson, he don't get the ball. Yeah. So he's like, when I get the ball, shit, I'm shooting it. Like, because I know
that's kind of the point, though. It's a spot where I agree with you that he's not a good fit, but it's because he's a player who needs the ball in order to have any chance of being successful. Does he move off ball? Not really. I mean, that's kind of the thing. He's a ball-dominant guard when you have 2 other ball-dominant players in Brunson and in Randall, who we can agree are significantly better than you. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't have a definitive role because he wants to be the main shooter on a team that has 2 much better players on the roster. So I don't think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say this: I like Quentin Grimes a lot better. Like I love Quentin Grimes whenever he came out of Houston.
And why is that? Because he knows his role.
And he can shoot, he can play defense, he's smart, got a high IQ. I think RJ just like tries too hard. Like you said, he thinks he's better than what he is. We even got a Duke fan who don't even like RJ. What in the hell is going on?
Yeah, Matt agrees with me. He's a high volume shot taker. You could just say it like this: he's a chucker. It's fine. Like,
I'm not even disagreeing with any of what you say. I just like some of the things that he can do. Maybe he'll just have to like reshift his game to be more of like a defender and slasher. Because I mean, he does take bad shots, and I think a lot of that has contributed to the Knicks don't run let's just be honest, they don't run the highest IQ of offenses, so it's kind of just
it's very stagnant.
Yeah, so I mean, just I don't know, but yeah, maybe I should just take the Magic. The hell with it.
My point is I'm going to lean to the under because Barrett takes a lot of shots. I mean, I'll lean to the under because I'm still not exactly sold on the overall playmaking of the rest of the team. But I just think that the bench unit might be an absolute mess if you're going to put Brunson and Randall on the bench together because I guess Quickly can do it himself. We'll see. But the point is I'm going to lean to the under, but we'll see how the Knicks look without him. I just don't think it's a coincidence that they only gave up 97 points to Philly when Randall has, statistically speaking, been arguably their worst defensive player on the roster. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I didn't have much on the side here. I agree with Scott about the under in this game. You take a look at both of these paint defenses. They're top 6, if you want to be exact. New York right now, season long, number 1. Obviously, that has probably changed with Mitchell Robinson, but Orlando also number 6, at least points inside the paint allowed, which also just kind of translate to what both of you guys are saying, that at least New York's not a very good 3-point shooting team. They're number 23 as far as team percentage goes. They only make about 12 per game, which is barely above league average. Orlando is even worse at shooting the 3-point shot, so I think that you'll see a brick fest here tonight between these two squads. And again, the pace is below league average for both of these teams as well. So the number right now at 225.5, I think was the number I said. I do like the under in this game. That's my favorite play. If I had to pick a side, I would go with. I'd probably lean Orlando as a home dog here, but I'm not going to be playing the side here. Under is a play for me in this game. Player props. LG mentioning. What do we think about Julius Randle over 4.5 assists here tonight? Scott, if you want to address that, and if you had any other player props that you want to throw out for this game.
Yeah, so for the sake of this game, I'll assume that RJ Barrett's not going to play. He might. I'll assume he won't. But either way, because he has an illness, and you never exactly know how that's going to go. But either way, the point is, if Barrett's out, I'm going to take the over on Randle assists because he should have the ball in his hands more. I mentioned before that Barrett has basically been averaging like 20 shot attempts per game. So if he's not going to be in the lineup, that means you're going to have the ball in Randle's hands more. So I like the over there. I am looking at Wendell Carter double-double, just trying to quickly pull up those odds. But I know Munaf and I are expecting an under, which means you're going to get a decent amount of missed shots.
Yep.
But the Knicks, without Mitchell Robinson, their paint defense isn't great. It's been fine. Hardenstein's kind of had a nice little run there for the last couple of weeks. And Sims is an athletic guy. A lot of foul trouble, not much offensive talent or whatever. But the point is, the Knicks don't exactly have many centers that can stretch the floor. So Carter Jr. should be in the paint a lot. Worst case scenario, battling on the glass with these guys. I like the double-double for Wendell Carter Jr. I think it's a good matchup, and he should play a decent amount of minutes. And as you can tell, I'm stalling to pull up the odds.
I got it.
Keep talking.
Plus
see plus 160.
Yeah.
I think that's a good price. I'll take Wendell Carter double-double.
Delonte, any player props in this game?
I like Paolo over rebounds. It's 6.5 right now. He's went over in the last 5 games. What they've been doing with him, I watch a lot of Orlando Magic games because I like how the team is constructed. So basically, when him and Franz are in the game, whenever they're just the primary guy. I mean, they're always the primary guys, but once they dummy it down a little bit and give the starters a break, they basically run Franz at the point and have Paolo posting up. So he's more so in the post and at that free throw line extended. So the reason why I like this is because the Knicks are, one of the better rebounding teams in the NBA. So if Wendell Carter is out of the game, then Paolo's going to have to be more assertive on the glass. So like I said, he's went over in the last 5. I'm expecting a lot of misses from both teams. They can't shoot. So I like Paolo over 6.5 rebounds. That's the only one I got.
All right. Anything else for this game, guys?
No, I think that's it. Quickly, threes, maybe.
Yeah, he's been playing a lot more, hasn't he? Especially with RJ Barrett not there. So
I like Quickly, man.
Come on, Scott. You gotta like Quickly. On that. We just disagree on Barrett, but I like Quickly.
All right.
Yeah, Quickly. He's been knocking down some 3-point shots. He was 0 for 3 in that Sixers game, but prior to that, 3 for 7, 2 for 5, 2 for 6, and 4 for 7. So he's shooting at about 39.3% over his last 5 games. So it might be worth the look. All right, guys, let's get over to the next game of the night. It's going to be the Phoenix Suns in Brooklyn here tonight to take on the Nets. Looking at the opening line for this game, currently seeing that the Phoenix Suns opened up as a 4.5-point favorite. That number's been bet up to -5.5. Total opened up at 226. That number's been bet down to 225. Looking at the injury report for the Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker is probable here tonight. He will be limited in his minutes. That was the latest report that I did see. Josh Okogie is available here tonight, and Cam Payne and Landry Shamet continue to be out for the Phoenix Suns. For the Brooklyn Nets that did play last night, like we talked about at the top of the show against the LA Clippers, did take the loss by 8 points, 124-116. Ben Simmons did not play last night, but he is supposed to play here tonight against the Phoenix Suns. Scott, why don't you lead us off with this game with your team hosting the Phoenix Suns here tonight as a 5.5-point home underdog?
Well, Ben Simmons should be trading because he's got to bump up his 0 trade value. So they're going to have to see what he can do about it.
He looks more happy on the bench than he does when he's playing.
He gets to show off his outfits. But anyway, I'm going to link to Phoenix
Why was he wearing a beanie? Why was he wearing a beanie inside yesterday?
I wasn't going to say anything because I still remember the clown suit he was wearing courtside in one of those Celtics playoff games. But still, yeah, I'm going to lean to Phoenix here, and I do like the over for a team total for Phoenix. That's probably my favorite play. I like the Phoenix team total over. The thing about Cam Thomas is that he's a great scorer. The reason why he has barely played in his entire career, he can't guard anybody. And when you're looking, he plays no defense at all. It is what it is when you can drop 40 in back-to-back games. But the Nets defensively have been an absolute disaster. The last 3 games, 139, 123, 124. They can't stop anyone. And with Devin Booker being back, yes, he will be on a minute restriction. Will he be rusty? Maybe. I think Phoenix is good enough offensively to exploit a team that doesn't even pretend to guard anybody. I like Phoenix. I think it's a good spot. The Nets should be fatigued. I'm not expecting Cam Thomas to drop 40 again after he had to play 30-plus minutes last night. Give me Phoenix in the spot, but I will take the team total over for Phoenix. this Nets defense, good luck to you. And Simmons, he might be rusty as well. I'm not sure how many minutes he's going to play. He might be in foul trouble the entire time. Who knows? But give me Phoenix team total over. It's probably my favorite bet on this game.
Yeah, I think this is third game in 4 nights for the Brooklyn Nets. So obviously that's never a favorable position. And like you just talked about there, Scott, the defense of the Nets just not been very good for the past several weeks here. I'm with Phoenix here as well. I think that this is a good spot for them. Even with Devin Booker coming back, I think that it'll take him some time, probably get some rust off since he's missed about close to a month, maybe over a month at this point. He is going to be limited, like we talked about, in as far as minutes here tonight. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen the exact number. Yeah, I'd probably say something in that range. But since CP3 did come back, this Phoenix team has looked pretty good. I think that he's obviously been able to command the offense. You have a guy like CP3 on the floor and getting his guys in the right spots. I think Ayton should have a big night here tonight as well, as far as at least rebounding. We saw what Zubac was able to do last night as far as getting a double-double. But yeah, I agree about Phoenix and also do like what Scott said about the Phoenix Suns team total. Those were the team totals. I think what my more favorite play is in this game as well with Scott. Delonte, what do you got for this game?
Yeah, I love Phoenix. I'll just make it consensus. Like Phoenix has been one of the teams I've been betting on since Chris Paul has been back. Over the last 10 games, they're 8-2 ATS. What really has changed their team around is they're playing better defense. And I seen an interview with Devin Booker where they were talking about some of the recent success that the Suns have been having, and he contributed to the defensive end. He was saying how guys have just locked in defensively and bought in instead of trying to do their own thing. Being with, they had so many players in and out of the lineup that some guys were just in there, playing for a contract, which is, I don't blame them for doing that, but they just weren't playing together as a defensive unit. So since then, they're tied for first in defensive rating in the last 10 games. They're sixth in defensive efficiency on the road. So the defense travels. They've allowed under 110 points in 3 of the last 5 games. So I think the team is trending up, and they're getting Booker back, which is basically sliding everybody down from a role perspective. So Mikal Bridges is not going to have to do a lot of the scoring. And although he will be limited, I'm pretty sure if it's a tight game that they'll pretty much stagger his minutes so he can, close out the game like they did somewhat with Anthony Davis. I don't know if you guys remember in that game, they kind of like tinker his lineup. With the lineup because it was a closer game. So I don't think this one's going to be close. Brooklyn back to back, like you guys mentioned. I just think it's a perfect spot for the Suns, getting the shot in the arm with Devin Booker being back. I like how the Suns team is playing. I bet them to win the Pacific and to win the West. I put those futures in probably about a month ago, right before this run started. So I'm hoping they can continue this. Scott brought up the defense. I think that Ayton Chris Paul pick and roll is going to thrive. Devin Booker in the corner. I seen somebody talking about his points in the chat. I don't know if I go under that because he could come out and score 15, 16 in the first quarter. You know what I'm saying? So
there's too much uncertainty for me.
Yeah, so I stay away from that. But as far as the game, I love Phoenix in this spot.
Thoughts on the total also, Delonte?
Yeah, I would probably lean under. Phoenix, like I said, Phoenix defensively has been playing well, and I don't think Brooklyn's going to have the legs to be able to. They played that game, although it wasn't it didn't seem, I guess, closer at the end, but they were in it, the whole game. They were in it. They were leading at the half.
They were in it with about 2 minutes left.
They were.
Yeah,
they were. I just think they exerted a lot of energy, and you got a fresh Phoenix team coming in, getting a star player back. I don't think it bodes well for the Nets offensively, and it took 47 from Cam Thomas. I'm not going to doubt Cam Thomas because he might shoot 60 times and score 40 again, but I don't know if they're going to get enough from all those other guys, and who knows what's going to happen with some of the injury. I don't think they released the injury report, right?
For Brooklyn, not yet. But I think the only thing was that Ben Simmons will play tonight.
Yeah, he don't matter. So yeah, but that gives me more incentive to bet the under. Yeah, but I like the under. I'm not gonna be playing it. I'll be with Scott playing the team total of Phoenix over.
All right, let's get into some player props here, guys. Scott, why don't you lead us off?
So we talked about Ayton. Ayton against the Nets. He's had a couple of really, really big games, and with Chris Paul being back in the lineup, of course, the pick and roll game should be nice, and Booker should definitely take some attention away So teams can't just constantly be focused on Ayton because he was their main offensive threat for a couple of weeks there. They played earlier this year, and he had 24 and 14 against the Nets back on January 19th. Had a couple quiet games in 2022 and late 2021. Had a 20 and 13 game also. But if you want to go all the way back to like 2018, 2020, he had 25 and 17, 26 and 18, 15 and 13. I think he's in line to have a pretty good game. I like him on the glass. His rebounds are 10.5. I like the over there. Points, I think, is kind of interesting because you never know when Ayton's going to be really soft around the basket. And we know that he's kind of a finesse big man. I prefer the rebounds. We saw Zubac clean up on the glass yesterday. I think Ayton cleans up on the glass today. Give me Ayton over 10.5 rebounds.
Yeah, I like that one as well. Both of those guys, at least Ayton minus 155 for his double-double. Nick Claxton minus 150 for his double-double. Delonte, any player props you like in this game?
Yeah, so I like a few. I like Chris Paul assist over 8.5. He's went over in 6 of the last 9, and now he's Cam Johnson's going to be playing Devin Booker, so he's going to have some more spot up shooters versus those other guys that were playing. So I like him over his assist. He'll be orchestrating a lot more in that pick and roll, being able to find those guys. So I like him over, and I also like Devin Booker over threes. I'm trying to find a number on it, but I couldn't find it. If you guys can help me out.
Booker threes.
Mm-hmm.
Probably while you look that up, the Suns team total is 115.5.
Yeah.
Okay, 1.5. I see 1.5 for Booker threes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like Booker threes over simply because, I mean, with that injury, I highly, highly doubt that he's going to be like attacking the rim, with aggression. So I think he's going to be more spot up shooting. So I can see him, kind of just running off a couple of screens, couple of pin downs, and shooting some threes. So I like him over 1.5 threes in this game. It's minus 125. It's a little bit of juice, but I mean, if he's going to play 20 to 25 minutes, I think he can sink a couple of threes.
Yeah, especially coming off like a groin injury, right? That sidelined him for about close to a month. I don't think that he's going to want to, push it too much. But he's had a lot of success against this Nets team. I know he hasn't played them this season, but last 3 games he's had 35, 30, and 36. But again, I think like we talked about, too much uncertainty, and obviously, shaking off the rust is what I'm trying to say as well for Devin Booker here tonight. So be cautious when you're playing with him. Obviously, we do kind of address the Cam Thomas points prop. I don't see it up yet.
He might not play. I mean, based on the amount of effort he put in, the Nets might just wave the flag on the game tonight. We'll see.
Yeah. I would probably be the contrarian guy and go under on it if he does play here tonight, like Scott mentioned. I only see Royce O'Neal player props up as far as Nets players right now. Or sorry, Claxton and Royce O'Neal here tonight, but I don't see Cam Thomas up yet. You have any thoughts on Cam Thomas before we move on, at least for his props here tonight, if he does play here?
I don't know what the number is going to be, so I got no thoughts at all.
Yeah, man, but I wouldn't put it that. Man, Cam Thomas, I watched him at LSU, high school. He's going to shoot. It don't matter. That's
he never passes at all.
Like, he is going to shoot, and that's the reason why he wasn't playing. He doesn't do anything else well but shoot. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great shot creator. But, I mean, I would probably under, just contrarian like you, Munaf. I just don't think that he'll be able to. He exerted a lot of energy last night, and they were like, the Clippers were trying. They had Kawhi on him at times. They had Paul George on him at times. Even Norman Powell, who's not the best defender, but he's a capable defender. And they couldn't slow him down. So yeah, I would just lean to the under. It'd probably be maybe like 20. I would say 24, 25, something like that.
Yeah. All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. It's going to be the Atlanta Hawks in New Orleans here tonight to take on the Pelicans. Looking at the opening line for this game, this number opened up in favor of the New Orleans Pelicans, -2. That number has pretty much stayed the course at -2. Do see some -1.5s out there as well. Total opened up at 234. That's been bet up to around 237. See some 237.5s out there as well. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Atlanta Hawks, pretty clean injury report. Nobody is on there. For the Pelicans, Dyson Daniels is going to be out for this game. Brandon Ingram is probable here tonight. Jonas Valanciunas is also probable here tonight. And Zion continues to be out dealing with the right hamstring strain. Delonte, why don't you lead us off for this game? Let's call it -2 right now for the Pelicans hosting the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I have no idea what to do with either of these teams. Like zero idea what to do with them. Like the Pelicans have been playing like under the basketball in like the past maybe before this last few game stretch, like the last 7 or 8 games, they could barely score like 105, and then they
Mhm.
rattle off 130 plus in the last 2 games. Like so,
Yep.
I just don't get this team. They are the second best in offensive efficiency in the last 3 games. On the other side, Atlanta 6-4 ATS the last 10. They've scored 120 plus in 3 of the last 5. Fourth in offensive efficiency on the road. So that would lead me to an under. But as far as the side, I would just lean to Atlanta. I don't have much in this game. I don't know what to do with either team. I'll likely be on Atlanta money line, just getting more bang for your buck. I don't think that New Orleans can defend. Obviously, they've been giving up a lot of points. And with Ingram is out, you said, right?
He's probable.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, definitely. I definitely lean over. But yeah, as far as the side, I'd lean to Atlanta. I think they'll have problems with the pick and roll with Trey, and some of those guys on the inside should be able to get some shots at the rim over that. Their front line isn't the greatest. Valanciunas has been losing minutes to Larry Nance simply because they want to play a little bit smaller and get some more spacing on the floor so Ingram and CJ can operate. But I don't have a good feel for the game, man. I'll be playing Atlanta, but I won't love it.
Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to lean to the Pelicans in this one, just because I like them at home a lot. Atlanta on the road's been okay lately, but I'm still not a big fan. New Orleans, though, beat Sacramento by 32 points at home. I feel like that's a nice win. They broke the seal. They beat the Lakers. They had lost 10 straight, and I'm going to back New Orleans here. They're just a very good home team. This game seems like a coin flip to me, but the home road splits are pretty alarming to me. And also the fact that total's gone up. New Orleans has scored 131 in back-to-back games. I'll lean to the over, but I do think that New Orleans has a good chance to go for 130 again. Trey didn't play last game. Was that a maintenance issue, or is he potentially a bit banged up?
I think it's probably a maintenance issue with. I know he's been dealing with. Was it been an ankle? I think for Trey
I said he
Young.
missed Saturday's game with an illness.
Hey man, why
Okay.
don't nobody like Trey? Let me ask you all that. Why nobody
I
likes Trey?
don't.
No, I mean just like I don't think like people just like Trey.
Do you mean why he wasn't in the All-Star game, or do you mean like why do people just genuinely don't like him, or they think
both?
he's
I
overrated?
guess both. Yeah, I guess because I mean people. This was the same narrative that he had in college. Like his teammates didn't like playing with him. Like he was just kind of like trying to be like above them or whatever. I think he's like the Kyler Murray of the NBA.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
That's
I
fair.
I don't have problems with Trey Young. I mean,
I don't think
I'll
he should have
honest.
been an All-Star. For being honest,
Yeah,
with you.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think just because he's the numbers that he's putting up. I mean, there's I don't know how many players right now that are averaging more than 25 points per game. I don't have a problem with them. I mean, I like watching them play, but I really don't follow the Atlanta Hawks in depth as much as maybe some other teams for me to know what the dynamic is going on in Atlanta. I know there was a lot of rumors with John Collins going back to last season. I think we talked about him a lot with Nate McMillan, their head coach as well. So the player Trey Young, I mean, look, I think he's fine. I don't know. I don't know if Scott, do you have anything to add about Trey Young? I don't have much about Trey Young.
I just think that in general, he's an inefficient basketball player. I think that the main concerns you have with him are the shot selection, the questionable decisions, which kind of correlate to that, and the fact that he also does not play any defense whatsoever. So I can understand why teammates don't like him when you constantly have to cover up for him defensively. And if he's going to give you 30 and 10, but he gives up 50 on the other end, it doesn't exactly do you much of a favor in terms of net positive. But you're looking at Young this season, and why I mentioned it before on I think it was the Friday show with Terrell. He's averaging 27 points per game. He's shooting 43% from the floor. He's averaging 4.1 turnovers per game. And for a guy that's well known for taking a bunch of long distance threes, he's really a crappy 3-point shooter.
He is,
if you want to go by percentages,
really
he's horrible.
He is.
Like if you want to look at Trey's 3-point numbers, he's never shot better than 38.2% from three, and that's a good season. His second highest season is 36.1. In his career, he's 34.8% from three, and he chucks a lot of three-pointers from Curry range. He's not an efficient scorer, and he doesn't play any defense. That's really the problem that I have with him. But he puts
like
great
Trey,
counting
man.
stats. He's a great counting stats guy, but if he's your best player, you're not going to win many games.
It seems like nobody like I've read some stuff about like people in it, like in the like Atlanta who like watch the team and cover them in depth. I know people saying like they want him traded. Like I'm like, wow, it can't be that bad. I know him and McMillan had their issues, and with the whole staying home thing. But like I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, but that trend it follows you. Like I know for a fact that my cousin was there at Oklahoma whenever he was there, and he pretty much told me like those guys didn't like playing with him.
Was it when things were going well, or when they lost like 10 of 12 and somehow made the tournament anyway, and then lost to Rhode Island in the first round?
Both.
That fell off a cliff so fast.
Yeah,
his
like
time at Oklahoma.
From the beginning, he said they didn't like, especially when he started getting, started going off for 30 plus. Like you just said, like he was just wearing on people. Like So.
All right, let's get over to the total in this game. Scott,
wait, who are you picking? You got Pelicans or Hawks?
Oh yeah, I'm taking Pelicans. That's been my team all season long. I know they obviously were dealing with injuries with BI being out for so long, and then now Zion being out. But I think at home, I like you mentioned, Scott, I like Pelicans at home here. Atlanta, they've been playing great basketball as well, but I think that the Pelicans, I think, finally have turned a corner here with getting BI back, with having CJ on the floor. Trey Murphy has been great for them as well. I think at home here, I really do like the Pelicans here with the -2. Total here, Scott, we're looking at 237.
I'm on the over. New Orleans scoring 131 in back-to-back home games. I don't like their defense either. That is why Nance has played more. It goes back to switchability. Valanciunas is a good player. He plays basically 20 minutes now. He'd be a multi-time All-Star if it was the 1990s, but unfortunately we've moved further away from the basket. So I understand why Nance is playing more minutes. I'm not a Nance guy because he's really not a good offensive player, but for defensive purposes, and when you have Ingram and McCollum and Zion when healthy, you don't need another score. Nance really should be their main center in crunch time minutes.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
I'm a Carolina fan, so I wish we could take him and ship his brother back to Northwestern.
Delonte, thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I'm over. Both teams playing well offensively, especially. I don't think either team's going to have a problem scoring the ball. The one thing that does bode well for us is both teams they get to the line a lot. I know Terrell's in the chat saying about the stop foul. Trey's going to get to the line. I mean, it's just inevitable. No matter what kind of rule changes they make, he's going to get to the line. He's crafty with the ball. He's going to get to the line, and then when they go small, DeJounte Murray's he's going to punish somebody. He loves like posting up smaller guards and getting physical at the point of attack. So I like the over. I think free throws going to be in abundance in this game also.
Does Herb guard him? Like, who's Herb going to guard in this game?
I would think he guards Trey to put some length on him.
Think so? Okay.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I would think so. That's what I would think.
Yeah, if you look at their numbers as far as totals go, especially in non-conference games here, Atlanta number 2 in the entire league at 14-6 towards the over at 70%, and New Orleans 14-9 at 60.9%. I know Terrell has been an advocate of these non-conference totals, so there are a couple of trends that are or stats that are pointing towards the over in this game, even though it is a big number here tonight. Player props, do you guys like in this game? Delonte, start with you. Anything that you like?
Yeah, I like Trey over 9.5 assists and for him to get a double-double. Like Scott brought up, I think Herb's going to be more so on him, so he might not be able to score 25 to 30. So I think he'll be more orchestrating the offense, and I think that they'll have some success with those wing guys. They have a lot of wing depth. I think the Hawks and Pelicans are pretty similar in some at their current state, not as a whole, but at their current state, I think they're pretty similar right now. So I look for Trey to get everybody else involved and get over 9.5 assists.
Scott, any player props?
Yeah, I'm with you on Trey. Just because I roasted him doesn't mean that I think it's a bad matchup for him. I think he's in a good spot. Once again, the total's 237.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not taking many unders with a total of 237. I think you'll see a decent amount of overall points, so I do like Trey assists as well. I thought about maybe taking a Capella double-double, but I'm not sure if he's going to get enough minutes. I thought about it, though. Double-double for Capella's -105, though, so I think I'm going to stay away from that one. I think Trey's in a very good spot. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I like. Maybe like a sneaky play on John Collins double-double at plus 430.
What is Trey double-double?
Like minus 105, minus 120, give or take. So it's basically just flip a coin, but I think it'll go over. So Trae Young's double-double is my favorite play here for a player prop. I am thinking Collins plus 430 for double-double, but I don't feel great about it. I just think for a guy that should play a decent amount of minutes in this matchup, it's a pretty good price.
Clint Capella streaks six straight double-doubles against the Pelicans, dating back all the way to 2019 when he was with the Rockets. They did match up earlier this season in Atlanta. Capella in that game had 21 points and 19 rebounds. That game ended with a 121-124 final score, but that game did go into overtime between those two squads. Trae Young in that game, 34 points, 10 assists. DeJounte Murray had a triple-double in that game, 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists for the Atlanta Hawks. All right, anything else for this game, guys?
No.
Nope. All right, let's keep it rolling here. 3 games still to get through here. Let's go with the Chicago Bulls in Memphis here tonight to take on the Grizzlies. Looking at the opening line in this game, the Memphis Grizzlies open up as a 7.5 point favorite. That number's been bet up to -8. Total opened up at 233. That number's up to 235. Looking at the injury report for the Memphis Grizzlies, Steven Adams, we know, is out with a PCL strain. Zaire Williams is also on G League assignment. And those are pretty much the significant names for the Memphis Grizzlies. Chicago did play last night at home against the San Antonio Spurs, took care of business there. Haven't seen any news if anybody is going to sit in this game or not for the Chicago Bulls. But Scott, why don't you lead us off with the side here? Let's call it -8 in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies hosting the Chicago Bulls.
So I'm not sure who on Chicago is not going to play. I know this team's been horrible on the road, but overall, Chicago's actually been okay recently. Yep. I'm taking the Bulls. I know that you can make an argument on the road. You want to fade Chicago and all that stuff. How the hell am I supposed to lay 8.5 with Memphis right now? They've lost, what, 8 of 9?
Mm-hmm.
Steven Adams has proven to be an invaluable piece to that team. And with him being out, the rebounding advantage, which I believe they were number 1 in the league, has fallen off a cliff. And the team in general doesn't seem to have much cohesion. It also helps when Steven Adams is probably the best screen setter in the entire league. You can argue him or Gobert, but Adams is a damn brick wall. Like, he'll kill any guard that touches him.
No love for Draymond and the illegal screen?
Well, I was going to say
legal screens.
The best screener of all time is arguably Andrew Bogut because he would move every time and they wouldn't call it ever. But still, the point is Adams is a really vital piece to that team. And with him being out, this team has completely lost its identity. I'm not laying 8.5. I'm going to lean to Chicago. If they get killed, I wouldn't be totally surprised because Chicago's a psycho team. But I do think Memphis, under no circumstances, should be laying 8.5 based on current form. On principle, I got to lean to Chicago.
Delonte.
Yeah, I'm with you, Scott. I don't think Memphis has to prove it to me. They've been in this spot, like, as far as, okay, this is the spot that Memphis it turns it on and blows out somebody, and they've lost. They're 2-8 ATS the last 10. They were one of the better home ATS teams, but they've dropped to 15-10 ATS at home. Chicago is trending up. They're a team that I've been betting on a lot. 7-3 ATS the last 10. They are 19-11 as a dog. They play extremely good defense. They've held 4 of the last 5 opponents to under 110 points. The only disadvantage that they have is they don't rebound the ball well. They're 27th in rebounds per game, and they don't defend the paint. They're 23rd in rim percentage. And if you don't defend the paint against against the Grizzlies, who are first in points per game in the paint, it's gonna be a long night. Ja's gonna be able to get in the lane. It's gonna be a lot of slashing by Desmond Bane. Jaren Jackson should have a good night as well, because the only line of defense, if you want to call it defense, is Vucevic, and he's not gonna defend anybody. So, I'm with you, Scott. I'm on Chicago. I think the number being drove up just is only. I think it's more smoke. I think people are gonna come in. I think the sharps gonna come in and bet on the Bulls here. Now, the Bulls also, like the Raptors that we talked about earlier, they have been linked to a ton of guys being moved. So I mean, I'm not sure how that works. I know Caruso's out tonight, right?
What does
I
he have?
think he was
Tradenitis?
questionable.
I thought I seen Caruso being out, but
Let me double
I'm
check
wondering
that.
though, does he have tradenitis? Because
yeah,
he's
that's
been
what he
I
got.
removed
think
about 10 different teams.
I think his might be very mild.
Very mild. Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that a lot of those guys are on the block. Maybe everyone except DeRozan, to be honest. I think even him, I've heard some things about him being put in some situations, but yeah, I like the Bulls here. I'm gonna wait until a little bit later until we get some more injury news on Chicago. But the only thing that worries me is the paint defense and what the Grizzlies can do inside the paint with Ja getting to the rim as much as he can. So lean to the Bulls for now. I'll be on them in some capacity later on once I get a better number, hopefully.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me nervous about the Bulls here tonight in non-conference games, they haven't been very good, like against the spread. I know we talked a lot about Memphis this season. Against the West, they haven't been very good, but against the East, 14-7-1 against the spread. Chicago 6-12 against the spread in non-conference games. And then I filtered it down even more this season. The Bulls in away games on the road in non-conference games, they're 1-7 against the spread and 1-7 straight up. So I feel like that because, like we just talked about, their recent form, it's probably going to be a stay away for me. But I would not be surprised if the Grizzlies found a way, maybe with guys sitting for the Chicago Bulls, that they do win this game by double digits. But I'm going to wait for the injury report for sure. Right now, I would lean towards the Grizzlies here tonight. I think probably contrarian side to it, just because they've had so much success against the Eastern Conference this season. So I'll lean with the Grizzlies here. Thoughts on the total here, Scott?
I think I'm going to lean under. I don't feel great about it, but at the end of the day, Chicago still on a back-to-back. Wait, they're on a back-to-back, right? They play yesterday?
Yeah, they played last night.
That's what I thought. So they're on a back-to-back. I'm wondering if they're going to bench some people potentially, but they also are traveling from Chicago to Memphis, so they might come out flat. Memphis offensively has been really underwhelming lately. You're looking at their games, and they're having a really hard time even getting past 115. Just to go through their actual scores over the last couple of weeks, these are the amount of points that they've had. 103, 113, 112, 112, 111. They had 120 the game before that. 100, 110. Once again, they're barely reaching 114. I'm going to go to the under.
Delonte, thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I love the under. One of my favorite plays. The only thing that does bother me, like you said, Scott, is the Bulls kind of want to sit some of those guys. Maybe
I'm hoping they sit the star scores and you see Kobe White play 30-something minutes, and then we'll lean to it under.
No, that's the leading scorer in North Carolina history, Kobe White.
Really?
Yeah, he's the high school leader in
high school.
Okay, I think you meant with the Tar Heels.
No.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Tar Heels.
No, yeah, he's the high school leader.
Who is Carolina? Tansboro?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
He was out there all 4 years.
My favorite college player of all time, Tyler Hansborough.
But yeah, so I think that Memphis offensively in the last 3 games, 29th offensive efficiency. It's probably around that same number in the last 10 games. So I don't think now there is a chance that the Bulls coming off that back-to-back are a little flat, and they just don't have the same effort as they did in recent matchups. 7 of the last 10 of their games have went under. Like I said, they've held 4 of the last 5 opponents to under 110 points. Now, obviously, it wasn't a team as offensively talented as Memphis, but as we've seen lately, Memphis hasn't put it together as Scott ran down the scores. So I'm leaning under. 8 of the last 10 for Memphis have went under also. So I think both defenses pretty much thrive against one another.
Oh, I just for fun, I looked it up. North Carolina's leading scorer all time is a gentleman named Lenny Rosenbloth. Tyler Hansborough, number 2 on that list, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys on the under here as well. I think that we'll see a better defensive effort here tonight from the Memphis Grizzlies. Again, when you're in the funk that you're in, you want to buckle down on the defensive side of the basketball, and I think that maybe you'll see some tired legs from the Chicago Bulls in the second half. Again, depending on who plays here tonight or who doesn't play here tonight, but I think this is a big number, especially for these two teams. I would lean towards the under in this game here as well. Player props in this game, Delonte, if you're looking at anything.
I got nothing. Literally, not one.
Scott?
Yeah, so Vucevic has been very kind to me. I don't know if he's a winning player in today's NBA, but for player props, he's been very good. I like him for the assists. Been very good at facilitating, a lot of short numbers out there. And you got to remember, this is a home game, so you know where I'm going. I'm taking Jaren Jackson blocks. So I got to go back to that one. But yeah, there's really no reason to not take Jaren Jackson for blocks. I think that Chicago, with Levine and DeRozan and with Vucevic, a lot of driving, a lot of opportunities to punch shots. Maybe he'll poke a ball, or maybe it'll graze a fingernail and they'll give him a block for it. So give me Jaren Jackson blocks at home.
Jaren Jackson blocks
the chat loves Vucevic under over. I'm seeing a bunch of guys like Vucevic tonight.
Blocks and steals your time for Jaren Jackson. 3.5 at -160.
Of course it is. Okay. And what's the blocks alone? Probably like 2.5 -140.
Blocks maybe. Alone is 3.5 at plus. That makes no sense.
It doesn't.
3.5 at +135. Well, it's because it's 3.5.
I mean,
I'll take the.
That's a little bit much, but
yeah,
at home you never know. I'm curious what the home tax is on Jackson blocks.
And then his steals here tonight, over half is -165. He's getting into the Hakeem Olajuwon blocks territory.
Yeah, right now he's in the Mutombo territory. He's trying to move over into the Hakeem territory, you know.
Yeah. You got anything else for this game?
Nothing.
All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. Let's go to the Mile High City here tonight. The Minnesota Timberwolves in Denver here tonight to take on the Nuggets. This line opened up in favor of the Denver Nuggets at -6.5. The number's been bet up to -8.5. The total opened up at 236. The number's been bet down to 234. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Kyle Anderson, Rudy Gobert, and Jordan McLaughlin are all questionable here tonight. Carl Anthony Towns still is dealing with the right calf strain, and Austin Rivers is also out for this game as he is serving the league suspension. For the Denver Nuggets, KCP, it's probable Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, the Joker, Jamal Murray, and Jack White are all probable here tonight. And the only questionable tag is Zeke Naji for the Denver Nuggets. Delonte, why don't you lead us off for this game here tonight between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets, as they are a 8.5 point home favorite.
Yeah, at the current number, I would probably play Minnesota. On the open, I like the Nuggets a fair bit. They played 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, and they got blown out. I think it was 120-105, if I'm not mistaken.
128-98. Minnesota got the victory.
Yeah, there we go. I know it's a blowout, but yeah. So I mean, I guess you can see why the money came in on Denver. Instant revenge spot for them, being at home. I like how Minnesota's been playing as of late. 7-3, last 10 ATS. They do struggle on the road, 10-14 ATS. Defensively is what I like about them the most. They've amped it up. They're tied for first with Phoenix for number one in defensive efficiency in the last 10 games. But it's a different monster with the Nuggets. We all know how efficient they are, how well they score. Gobert's probably going to foul out in the second quarter, guarding Joker. So after that, Naz Reid is a nice player, but he's not going to do anything with Joker. I mean, that's not a knock on him, and nobody can do anything with the Joker. But I would much rather take my chances with Gobert versus Naz Reid and some of those other guys. So I'll keep it short and sweet, man. I'll lean to the Minnesota side. I think it's maybe a tad bit high, maybe a little bit of an overreaction. So I'll take the points with Minnesota. I don't love it. I'm not going to be playing it, but I'll lean that way.
Scott?
Yeah, my breakdown is going to be simple. I'm taking Denver first quarter.
Yeah.
Just a very consistent spot for Denver, where they've been a phenomenal first quarter team.
Yep.
They're at home, where they've been especially good in the first quarter. You have a revenge spot, and they benched pretty much all the starters last game, and you're assuming they're going to be back. If you win a game by 30, but the other team uses DeAndre Jordan for 25 minutes, does it still count? I don't know. But I'm going to lean to Denver. I think it's a good spot for them to get their rested starters back to really just going back to a solid performance at home. Give me Denver first quarter. The full game I'm torn on. I'm going to lean to the under, though. This number just seems a little bit high to me, and I believe the line has dropped about 1.5 compared to where it was on the overnight. So I'm going to lean under, but give me Denver first quarter. They are such a good first quarter team. Give me the Nuggets there in the first 12.
I got those numbers for you too, Scott. The first quarter numbers, if you want me to
sure,
rattle them off for you. So Denver 32-21 and one outscoring opponents 3.37 points per first quarter. At home 17-11-1 outscoring opponents by 4 points. That was one I had that wrote down because that was going to be one of my plays too. So I'm with you on that.
What's the number for the first quarter?
If it's 8, it should be like 2.5.
That'd be my guess. I'm sure it's probably somewhere split between 2.5 and 3, depending on where you shop around.
I see a 3 on WinBet right now. But I'm sure there's 2.5s out there.
It's like it's plenty. It's plenty. If you want a 2.5, you can get one.
Yeah. I think that's if it's not broke, don't try to fix it, right? Denver first quarter, especially. Obviously, nobody's played in that game for Denver Nuggets. In that game was it on Sunday between these two teams?
You just have to toss it out, don't you? I mean, nobody played.
Yeah, you got to toss it out. But I think obviously with all the starters back in, surprisingly, Michael Porter Jr. played in that game for the Denver Nuggets. But Scotty already mentioned, I'm not going to regurgitate everything that you said about the first quarter for the Denver Nuggets. I think that Memphis probably in the second half, Minnesota in the second half can keep it close. Number does seem a tad bit high, but I think that first quarter they'll come out and play well to the Denver Nuggets. Total, I would probably look at a Denver team total maybe to go over here tonight. I know defensively Minnesota on the road has been better as of late, but overall their season stats don't really, at least on the road, haven't been very good in my opinion here. So I think that with them getting obviously all the starters back, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic here tonight, I think that they should be able to have a good night here, at least scoring the basketball. Player props, if anything, in this game. Delonte, you got anything?
I like Michael Porter, over 15.5. He went over that number in 5 of the last 6. He scored 22 a few days ago, as you mentioned, in that game. And he didn't shoot the ball well. It was 2 of 10 from 3. Minnesota doesn't have a defender at that position that could be able to withstand him. I think Anthony Edwards was on him for a fair bit of that game. He caused some problems. So I think it's a bounce back spot for Michael Porter Jr. to have 20 plus tonight.
Scott, any player props?
It's pretty difficult when Jokic's triple doubles like minus 102. It's so dumb at the point we're at now with Jokic and his triple doubles. Tells you how good he is. Jamal Murray overs. Yeah. Murray's been incredible. I've given him a hard time since the injury because it took him a while to get going again. And even before he had his bubble moment there, I thought he was a little bit overrated. He's been great. I got to give him his flowers. Guy's been a hell of a player for the last couple of weeks. I'd look for Jamal Murray points, 3-pointers. He's just been really good. I got nothing more to add about it. But I'd look for Murray, especially if Jokic is going to get those double-digit assists. I'm assuming a lot of them will be to Jamal Murray off screens and potentially getting some open looks. Give me Murray for threes.
Murray's threes are right now 2.5 at minus 160. I think that's a good, maybe a ladder opportunity if you want to take that up to like 4.5 or maybe in 5.5.
I just want to look at his last couple of games from 3 because I know the points have definitely been there. Last 3 games, 41, 33, 32 for threes, 7-3, 7-2, 3. So 2 of the last 3 games he's had at least 7. But I'm more interested in the 12 attempts or the 11 plus attempts in each of the last 3 games. I don't mind taking a ladder shot for Murray 5 3-pointers.
Okay.
Something like that. I mean, that's a lot of attempts.
Yeah. Yeah. He's getting that attempt stuff. I think that's something we'll always kind of look at when we're doing with these or identifying player props for these players. I didn't have many player props in this game. Obviously, sometimes, or not sometimes, but a lot of jokers. Player props or either it's rebounds and assists are a little bit taxed now just because he just walks into a gym and can put up a triple double at will. Anything else for this game, guys?
Nope.
All right. Really. Last game of the night, we have the OKC Thunder in Hollywood here tonight to take on the Lakers. Thunder did play last night in the Bay Area to take on the Golden State Warriors, where they did take a huge L. That was Terrell's lock last night, -3.5, -4 for the Golden State Warriors against the Thunder. They lost 141-114 in that game. But tonight, they are going to be in LA to take on the Lakers. And currently, I am seeing this line at -6.5 for the LA Lakers. Total opened up at 237.5. That number's been bet up to 239 in this game. Obviously, the big storyline, the big news, the everything or everybody, we're all waiting for is if LeBron is going to break the all-time scoring record. He is currently 36 points away from doing that. But as far as the game here tonight, guys, let's start with the side. Scott, why don't you lead us off with this game? The Lakers -6.5 hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I'm going to take the Thunder plus the points in this spot. I don't trust the Lakers enough, just simply put. Thunder giving them some problems the last couple of years, and they're on a back-to-back, but they basically no-showed the first game, and I don't exactly think the coach is going to show pity on them by letting a lot of guys rest. I see the starters playing a decent amount of minutes here, but you're looking at the spot for LeBron. I'm just going to ask straight up, is he petty enough to purposefully not go crazy in this game to only beat the record against Milwaukee? Because I think he might be.
Yeah, he is.
So if you think he's going to be petty enough, do you take LeBron assists?
I would. Yeah, then I was just going to mention I would pivot to Anthony Davis player props here tonight.
But I think he is petty enough to do that.
Yeah,
just for the record.
So. Of course.
I agree. Delonte,
I like the over in this game. Forgot to mention. I like the over.
Okay. Delonte, why don't you give a side and total?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Thunder. I don't think the Lakers. I mean, they're not. They haven't did anything to be laying that big of a number to a team as feisty as OKC. I know this is an OKC podcast, man. I see my man Real in the chat saying don't think too hard. He's probably right. Like it's just. I think Bron is going to take it easy, maybe a 25-5, maybe 25-5-8 type of night, just so he can break it on Milwaukee. I mean, it's theatrics. It's LeBron. We all know he wants to go out with the biggest of the bang. So I like the Thunder here. I think they'll get it done. The only thing that worries me is Anthony Davis should murder them inside.
He might go for like 40.
Yeah, like he should. Yeah, he should have 35, like a 35-15 type of game.
Who's guarding him? Muscala?
Nobody.
I'm just saying, like that's apparently who's going to be matched up on him. Like Muscala.
So I like the Thunder here. I don't think the Lakers should be laying this high of a number to a team as good as OKC. And what Shea's going to do to Schroeder, I don't think the kids should be watching.
Did you get your thoughts on the total there?
The total. Well? I would probably lean to the over. Both teams play with a little bit of a pace. The Lakers, obviously, one of the fastest paced teams in the NBA.
They're both top three.
Yeah. So the Thunder. I don't know. If I think that Anthony Davis is going to have success, then how much are the Lakers going to run? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much are they going to run if they're more effective when they're getting the ball to Anthony Davis? And they don't need Anthony Davis to run a lot because, he could, twist the toe or anything, and he could be out for 7-8 weeks. So I think they want to get him the ball in the half court. I'm leaning to the over, thinking it's going to be more efficient half court basketball.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on the Thunder here tonight. I think this is way too many points. And again, probably looking ahead for the Lakers as well, right? With number one, LeBron on the brink of breaking the record, and then them welcoming the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis to town on Thursday. So I think it's a good spot here for the Thunder to keep it close. We've talked about how great their numbers are on the road this season for the Oklahoma City Thunder, 15-10-1 against the spread on the road, 15-6-1 against the spread on the road as road underdogs. So I'm going to go with the Thunder here as well. Total. I think the one thing that does worry me is that both of these teams do like to run, right? Whether if it is that more Anthony Davis in half court offense, I still think they'll get up and down the floor in this game. Both these teams are top three, and as far as pace and possessions per game, Lakers number 2, OKC number 3. So I feel like if you want to play an over in this game, I would probably look at the first half over, and then maybe things kind of slow down in the second half. then it turns into a half-court offense. So I'll probably lean with the first half over in this game. Player props, I know we touched on Anthony Davis. Scott, anybody else that you're looking at as far as player props?
I mentioned LeBron assists. If we're expecting Davis to go nuts, you're probably going to see LeBron get a bunch of assists there. Davis, you can really choose between points or rebounds or both. He's had 14 rebounds in each of the last 2 games. The shot attempts are what's crazy here. Davis in the last 2 games has attempted a total of 52 shots in the last 2 games. 52 in the last 2 games, and he's only gone to the line 12 times. You got to get to the line more, just saying. But I like the over for Davis points and rebounds. I saw Davis 35 plus points was 3-1, which I think is tempting.
Yeah.
30 plus is plus 130. But the point is, I think Davis is going to have a field day in this game. I could really see him going for 35 and 17.
Yeah, right now I'd see 26.5, a little bit of juice towards the over at minus 135. Yeah, I think those were the only, or the really Anthony Davis I was zoned in on here tonight. Delonte, any other player props in this game?
Yeah, I'm looking at LeBron under for obvious reasons, as we discussed. Looking at his under
for points.
Yeah, for points. I'm sorry. Yeah, for points. I'm sorry. Looking at his under for points. Also looking at Anthony Davis points and rebounds over 39.5. He went over in the last 2. I think it's a great matchup for him. I'm looking for a 30 and 15 type of game from him, and especially if we think LeBron's going to go under, somebody's going to have to score, and it ain't going to be Dennis Schroeder, it ain't going to be Thomas Bryant, Wenyen Gabriel, and none of these other guys. So I think Anthony Davis takes advantage of the opportunity tonight and dominates on the inside. I do like Jalen Williams, the J-Dub, the one they call J-Dub, the Santa Clara Jalen Williams. I like his points over. I think it's a good matchup for him with the wing players of the Lakers not being good defenders. So I think his number is at, let me see. I had the wrong Jalen Williams wrote down. So let me get the right one.
It's fine. I'm sure the Thunder's coaching staff makes the same mistake when they call substitutions on the sideline.
11.5 is his number. So I like him over 11.5 as well.
All right. Anything else for this game, guys?
Nope, nothing.
All right. Before we get into our lock and dog here for the Tuesday games, let me tell you guys about all the contests that are happening right now over on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. The first one, the Big Game Bingo. Just make sure to sign up on the SGPN app and get your own Big Game Bingo card full of all your favorite big game prop bets. And if you get bingo, you'll win a $57 SGPN gift card. Only catch is you must be subscribed to the Sports Gambling Podcast and the NFL Gambling Podcast on YouTube to win. And also the SGPN 57 Bets Challenge. In honor of the big game, SGPN is hosting a prop bet contest. Make your picks for the 57 different prop bets. Winner will get a $570 gift card to the SGPN store, as well as $570 in cash. All contests are free to play, and they're exclusively only on the SGPN app. All right, gentlemen, let's get into our lock and dog here for tonight. Let's close it out strong here. Delonte, why don't you lead us off, my man? What's your lock and dog?
Yeah, so for the lock, I'm going to go with something that we talked about, something that we all pretty much agreed on, and that was the Phoenix Suns. However, I'm going to go with the first quarter, the Phoenix Suns first quarter laying 1.5. You can get pretty much a 1 if you look for it, but 1.5 is pretty much the consensus where most books have it. They're the 4th best first quarter team in the NBA, 8-2 ATS the last 10. Outscoring opponents by almost 6 points per first quarter. So I think Brooklyn will come out a little bit flat. Suns getting their leader back, and I think that bodes well for early and often. So I think the Suns blow out Brooklyn here tonight. I'd rather get in, get my money, and get out. So Phoenix Suns first quarter minus 1.5 for the lock. As for the dog, it's so many dogs that I like. I'm probably just gonna go with Chicago. I'm thinking that they stay within this number. Memphis, they're in prove it mode to me. They got to prove it. They got to prove to me that they can cover this number before I can fully be on board with saying that they're back or close to being back. Because offensively, they haven't been good at all. The Bulls defensively have been elite. one of the better defenses in the NBA. I think some of those guys can get slowed down by the depth. Caruso being out does hurt me because I would think that he would be the primary defender on Ja. But I still like him. I still like the Bulls here. So give me them plus what are they, 8.5.
Yeah.
Plus,
yeah. So let me see.
You can get both numbers.
Yeah.
It's just for grading purposes. I would say plus 8.
Okay. Scott, what do you got?
All right. So for my lock, I'm just trying to think of which one I want to take because there's a couple of options I have here. I think I'm going to go back to that Bulls and Grizzlies game, and I'm going to go with the under in this one. Number just seems too high to me. Bulls are on a back-to-back. Grizzlies offensively, I've mentioned the numbers before. They've really not been good. They've had a hard time reaching 115. And I still think that Memphis defensively is good enough with the rim protection with Jaren Jackson to potentially force Chicago into taking a bunch of outside jump shots. Worst case scenario, intimidation. I think that the players might be a little bit timid to actually go into the paint and deal with him. I forgot what the exact number was for the total for that Bulls Grizzlies game because it has moved.
I currently see 235.5 over on WinBet. I'm sure there's better numbers out there, so I definitely shop around, guys.
Okay, so 235.5. I'll take the under as my lock.
Okay, and what do you got for your dog?
For my dog, I decided to be a little bit different. I am going to go with a 3-pick parlay. The same game parlay pays out 12-1. I'm going to take the Thunder on the money line. I'm going to take Anthony Davis 30+ points. And I'm going to take Anthony Davis 12+ rebounds. 3-pick pays out 12-1.
All right.
If you want to do 35+ points, by the way, it's 26-1, I think.
Okay. All right. For my lock here tonight, I think I'm in agreement with Delonte here on the Phoenix Suns here tonight. That number has now gone up to -6, but I think that this is an opportunity for them to come into this game. They're playing well, right? Brooklyn, 3 games, third game in 4 nights here. I know all the hype is around Cam Thomas and what he's been able to do over the last 2 games. But I think Phoenix right now, like I mentioned, playing better basketball. You get Devin Booker back tonight. I know he's going to be limited, but I just feel like there's an opportunity for Phoenix to come in and just kind of take care of business with Chris Paul there. I think DeAndre Ayton should have another big game like Zubac has last night against this Brooklyn Nets team. So I'll take Phoenix Suns full game -6 against Phoenix Suns -6 against the Brooklyn Nets here tonight. For my dog, not a lot of dogs that I did like here tonight. I probably have to pivot to the Anthony Davis because I feel like he's just going to have a huge game here tonight.
My safe play would have been the 30+ at +130, but I decided to go for the fun whatever parlay instead. But the safe choice is Davis 30+ points.
Yeah, I was looking at either DeAndre Ayton 20+ here tonight or Anthony Davis. I think I got to go Anthony Davis 30+. I'll be playing the 27.5 over as well, but I think at 30+ at +130. I mean, Scott mentioned the numbers and how many shots he's just taken over his last 2 games, right? Was it 52?
Yeah,
over his last 2 games where he's gotten up. And I think that, LeBron is probably he's going to get his about 20 to 25. I mean, 25 is probably the number for LeBron here tonight, but I think that more focus for him is probably a Thursday night game against Milwaukee to break the all-time record and maybe doesn't give the all-in effort here tonight. But I think this is a game where it's a great matchup for Anthony Davis where like we talked about, who's going to guard this guy here tonight. And I just don't see how, unless they're double teaming him, I just don't see how Anthony Davis doesn't get his tonight. So 30+ points here tonight at +130 for Anthony Davis as my dog of the day. All right, gentlemen, that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. Scott, anything else we need to mention before we get out of here, bud?
No, you can just find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Besides that, if you are not busy for the next probably hour, Terrell and I are about to do the exotic prop show for the NFL Gambling Podcast. We'll be live streaming it there. So if you want to just jump into another live stream, you're busy at work, you're bored, you want to play some bets, you can find us there. We're talking about some Rihanna props, so get excited.
All right.
Love Rihanna, man.
Delonte, anything else, my man?
Nah, man. That's it. Pretty much covered it all.
Yeah, make sure to follow Delonte on Twitter at XXLonteXX. Like Scott mentioned, follow him on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. And then also follow the Twitter account for the NBA Gambling Podcast at SGPN NBA. And if you haven't already, do us a favor, hit that like button on the live stream here on YouTube, and also leave us a rating and review for the NBA Gambling Podcast, whether you listen on Spotify or whether you listen on your podcast players. And again, head over to the SGPN app for all the big game contests going on right now on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, but they're only exclusively on the SGPN app. All right, Scott and Terrell will be back tomorrow for the Wednesday games in the association. Good luck tonight, everyone. Let's break these books off and let it ride.